Tonight on The ReidOut.
What's your reaction to people so close to you? Your son, a mother of someone who says that she's the mother of your kids, saying that you're lying. What's your reaction to people so close to you saying don't trust you?
Well, just like what I just said, the Democrats are desperate for this seat. This seat is important. They're very desperate for this seat. I love my family. I always love my family. I'm going to win this race. I know I'm going to win this race and stuff.
Herschel Walker's spin gets more ludicrous by the day and exposes Republicans' contempt for women. Because apparently it's okay for Walker to pay for an abortion, but they want harsh penalties for women who need the procedure. Also tonight, less than 5 weeks to the midterms, and Republicans are pulling out all the old fear and loathing playbook, trying to scare voters about crime. I'll show you how Democrats are fighting back. Also fighting back is tonight's ReidOut democracy defender, who's working with Michelle Obama and a lot of other amazing people to increase voter participation. Meanwhile, Republicans are doing just the opposite, suppressing the vote and nominating a staggering number of candidates who might well cancel your right to vote altogether. But we begin tonight with a crucial component of the abortion debate that largely goes unscathed, even unnoticed. The men. Since the virgin birth of baby Jesus, for all my saints and believers out there, conception without sexual intercourse hasn't really been a thing, meaning it takes two to conceive. But in anti-abortion states, when it comes to an unwanted pregnancy or a wanted but unviable pregnancy, it's only the women who face the consequences, ranging from criminal charges to major health complications or even death. The abortion debate has focused solely on women and girls because they're the ones getting pregnant by choice or in some cases by force. It is the act of ending a pregnancy that's the crime, which leaves one person in that act out of the conversation. We've seen red states seek to criminalize women who seek abortions or their doctors, or even those who help a woman or a little girl seek care, the out-of-state clinic. Or under the draconian abortion law in Texas, the Uber or the Lyft driver who just drives a woman or a teenage girl out of state. They could be legally liable. This radical mission to ban abortion, which Lindsey Graham has promised will become national law if Republicans take over the Senate and the House, is not about life. As Jennifer Rubin wrote today, Republicans' so-called beliefs are a smokescreen to grab and hold power. And it's not about Christianity either, though it is about religion, namely the worship of a man whose presidency crystallized the right's dream of delivering all power back into the hands of the right men. Here's Republicans' religious leader explaining who should be punished for abortions.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion? Yes or no, as a principle?
The answer is that there has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah, there has to be some form.
What we're seeing on the right is nothing less than sheer contempt for women, taking us back to when women and girls existed solely as property, their wombs as state incubators. These are just some of the bills introduced by state legislatures this year, punishing women who receive abortions, who receive abortions with prison time, or punishing abortion with the death penalty, or allowing a rapist's family members to sue those who help or provide his victim with an abortion. Do you hear anything here about consequences for men? Despite men not being the pregnant person in the equation, the pregnancies at issue are unwanted for them, too. Yet they are completely off the hook when the right talks about criminalizing the procedure. And particularly conservative men get a huge pass, an instant Christian redemption for consenting to the deed. Herschel Walker, the mumbly Republican nominee for United States Senate in Georgia, is now employing literally silly putty logic around his abortion stance. He says he wants to completely ban abortion, likening it to murder. But when the mother of one of his out-of-wedlock children told the Daily Beast that Walker once urged her to get an abortion and also paid for it, well, in that case, what's the big deal?
I know nothing about any woman having an abortion, and that had happened, I would have said it because there's nothing to be ashamed of there.
Walker is denying the abortion allegation and is also denying the latest charge that he has a child with this woman. But what you just heard was his "if I did it" moment. It's okay for him, but not for the millions of women and girls who have faced this exact scenario. It's nothing to be ashamed of for the man, yet he's still pushing for a nationwide ban on the women. As a man of faith, he is entitled to redemption without even having to admit to the sin or apologize. But for women, The only possible redemption, even if you've been brutally raped or trapped in a marriage that's violent, like J.D. Vance wants you to stay in, or as Herschel Walker apparently subjected his former wife to, or if you're pregnant as a result of incest, or if, like Herschel, it just wasn't the right time for you to be a parent, the only way you, as a woman, can get redemption is to go through 9 months of pregnancy with all the medical risks in red states with barely any health care, and then take full financial and care responsibility for the child. Your problem, not theirs, not the state. Perhaps the crime isn't so much the abortion, but not being a man. Joining me now from Georgia is Yamiche Alcindor, Washington correspondent for NBC News and moderator of Washington Week on PBS. Also joining me, Juanita Tolliver, MSNBC political analyst and co-host of Crooked Media's What a Day podcast, and Charlie Sykes, editor-at-large at The Bulwark. Thank you all for being here. Yamiche, I'm going to start with you because you've been down there right in the mix. You've been talking to voters. You got a chance to holler some questions at Herschel Walker. It is really sort of stunning to watch him say, I didn't do it, but if I did it, it wouldn't be a problem because it's me and I can do it. You know, it's sort of like when you're a star, they let you do it kind of defense. When you talk to voters who hear him mumbling these defenses, do any of them say to you when they're justifying voting for him anyway, he's a murderer in my view because I'm opposed to abortion, but I'm okay with him murdering because I like his politics?
Joy, an important and critical question, but no, I don't hear that from voters. What I do hear here in Wadley, Georgia, which is a deeply red part of the state, Herschel Walker held an event here, and as you said, I got a chance to question him and press him on some of those things. I want to start off by saying I questioned him about that statement that if I had done this, nothing would be wrong. When I questioned him about that and said, well, how do you square that with your opposition for abortion in all cases, including if it's rape or incest? He literally denied saying that. Of course, it's something that he did say this morning to you, Hewitt. So it tells you in some ways where Herschel Walker is. I also put the question to him, what do you make of the fact that your family, Christian Walker, your son, this woman who says she's the mother of one of the children, that you've publicly acknowledged, that they're saying don't trust you and that you're a liar? He said this is all part of a Democratic distraction and that there's nothing to see here, that this is really people trying to stop him from running. Of course, I should say his opponent, Senator Raphael Warnock, he says that this is all disturbing. He's reiterating his support for abortion rights. And when he gets to the voters, Joy, I've been really, really struck. 1 or 2% and 1 or 2% of the vote, and that could swing this important, critical, tight Senate race. But voters that I've talked to, they're not moving. If you're someone who didn't like Herschel Walker, especially because of the domestic abuse allegations, you don't like him now. And I also talked to a voter who's a fan of Herschel Walker. She told me 100% she believes that he did this. She believes that he's not really being truthful. But she said, I'm voting for him anyways because I'm focused on inflation and crimes. And if he did do this, this was a mistake. And now he's on the right track because he opposes abortion. So that's what's going on here in Georgia on the ground, Joy.
Did you ask her what she thinks that guy, and she heard him, so she can hear him just like we can hear him, unless she ain't listening to anything he says. What does she think he's going to do about crime? What does she think he's going to do about inflation? What is his inflation and crime plan, in her view?
I asked her that. I said, well, how is voting for Herschel Walker going to better your life? And she told me, well, it's really about the fact that she thinks that these policies the Democrats have, that they're really wrong. But she didn't really articulate what specifically Herschel Walker, as a U.S. Senator from Georgia, can do for her life. She really instead bashed his opponent and bashed Democrats, which really sort of tells you about the tribalism here. People are in their camps, right? If you're a Republican who already weathered Trump, who already saw all the scandals there, who saw the Access Hollywood tape and hung on anyways, then you're still sticking with Herschel Walker. So that tells you somewhat what the politics are here and how people just sort of are shrugging their shoulders at this.
They don't believe it because they don't believe any of it.